Hey y'all, what's up? It's Kelly back with you guys for another video, and I just want to say first off, thank you so much for clicking on this video and for checking my channel out. I hope you guys, if you're new here, y'all hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and it's an easy way for y'all to help me out and help me grow my channel, and that would mean a lot to me, guys. So, and if you're not new here, then y'all already know, guys. I am so grateful for each and every one of y'all that interact with my channel. Whether you give the video a like, whether you comment, subscribe, whatever it is, I thank you so much. So we're going to get into another true crime story today, guys, and it is probably one that you've seen here in the news recently, and it is actually the case of Beverly, Guenther, and Scott McLaughlin. So let me know in the comments down below, have y'all heard of this one? And if you have, what have you heard? So the main narrative that's going around right now in the news is basically the victim's story has been lost in all of this. So you guys can see from the thumbnail here, this is the story of obviously a murderer and his victim, and there was all kind of controversy surrounding this as of lately, and this man was he was put to death. He was convicted of his crimes, and he was basically he got the death penalty, and he was put to death on January 3rd of just this past recent year. And so the reason why this was all in the news recently is because as of maybe 3-4 years ago, maybe at the most, really just it's not necessarily known exactly when, but he decided that he was going to play the trans card, basically. And so he tried to wiggle his way out of his death penalty by claiming to be a transgender person, and grew his hair out, put some nail polish on, and basically said I'm a woman, because that's all it takes these days, guys, is a little bit of nail polish, a little bit of long hair, and poof, you can be a woman too. You too can be a woman. So that's basically the narrative now, guys. And so after seeing this, it just kind of made me really sad, and it made me want to jump on here and tell the story of the actual victim of this crime, and to tell the story of Beverly Guenther, because I feel like that is who was lost in all of this. And so we're gonna get into her story, and I just want to kind of explain how it's gonna go. So we're gonna go through obviously some news stories. We're gonna watch a few clips. I'm gonna give my commentary, and then we'll get out of here. And so yeah, guys, I just wanted to kind of give y'all the heads up ahead of time, because sometimes people are unsure, I guess, or they're I don't know. Sometimes people are why are you talking so much? It's a commentary video, that's why. So just giving y'all that, heads up, like I said, ahead of time. So let's see. Let me get right into we're going to go to there was an appeal, because he's been appealing this case from the very beginning. He has been trying to wiggle his way out of death penalty from the beginning, blaming it on this, that, and the other thing. And many people do this, guys. I mean, it's not surprising, but it still, to use this card, to use, the trans person card, is a new low, and I feel like we're going to be seeing it a lot more in recent years, based on what we've seen in our culture and in our society as a whole. So I'm going to get into the appeals documentation from the United States Court of Appeals, and let's see, we'll get into that document right now. Let me just pull it up, and then we will go from there, y'all. Okay. Oops. Alright, y'all. Okay, guys, so this is from the United States Court of Appeals for the 8th Circuit, okay? And it's, as you can see, Scott McLaughlin, and then the respondent was I guess this is the judge. I'm not really sure who, and I can't pronounce that last name, so I'm not sure who that is, but I'm assuming that's whoever's filing the paperwork, or whoever is the prosecuting attorney or maybe even the judge, but not important. So the reason why I wanted to read from this paperwork first is because in researching this case, it really is it's kind of sad because the only stories I could find were of the fact of like people writing articles of first transgender woman in the United States to be put to death, and talking all about the murderer in this case, and might I add the murderer and the rapist, okay, because that's who Scott McLaughlin was, and we're gonna get into it, guys, but so it just pissed me off like from the jump because it took me forever to find this document here, this Court of Appeals document, which actually gave some real insight into the case and the crimes of Scott McLaughlin. Because it was, I'm telling you guys right now, and I'll show you all the search results, like just so y'all can see, what it was that was. I googled Beverly Guenther case details, and literally, it was all about, and they reference Amber McLaughlin, who is Scott McLaughlin. That's his name that he tried to choose as a woman. Execution date set for man convicted in ex-girlfriend's murder. Inmate McLaughlin put to death. Execution set for Missouri inmate Amber McLaughlin. Like I googled Beverly Guenther. I googled the victim's name. Okay, and these were the results. It was all about the murderer, all about him. And like this is the second page. Like this. So let's go back to the first page. Like I literally found that on the second page, and all of these search results, for the most part, were about him. And even if you click on some of these about her, it's so short and it's just like absolutely no information whatsoever. It's just like, it was really hard to find details in general about this case, but I thought this was very sad. It was almost like the erasure of this woman. And so I just wanted to make sure that, my focus was on her and not on him, because he's a dead man now, and I feel no sorrow for him because he killed someone and he did something disgusting to her, violated her sexually after the fact. So let's get into the details, guys. Okay, Scott McLaughlin, this is from Circuit Judge Cobes. Scott McLaughlin filed this habeas action alleging, 1, he received ineffective assistance of sentencing counsel when his lawyer failed to investigate potential impeachment evidence of his own expert witness, and 2, his death sentence was unconstitutional due to flaws in the jury instructions. The district court agreed and vacated his death sentence. We disagree and reverse. God bless you. Okay, so here's the case details, guys. Trigger warning right now. Trigger warning, if you are sensitive to, details about sexual assault or anything like that, I would skip ahead at least a minute or so, okay? So, the night before a hearing on his adult abuse charge, Scott McLaughlin ambushed his ex-girlfriend Beverly Guenther while she was leaving work. When Guenther told him to leave, McLaughlin attacked, stabbing Guenther repeatedly with a steak knife. Guenther fought for her life, scratching McLaughlin's arms and face, but he forced her to the ground and continued to stab and strangle her. Then he arred her. Once he was finished, McLaughlin... Okay, now I want to stress that, actually. I want to stop there. Okay, he stabbed her, strangled her, and then after she was deceased or close to death, then he assaulted her in a sexual manner. And he did, he raped her. And I don't know, like, I wanted to say the word. It's so frustrating. I hate that YouTube does this because it diminishes it to me. And I feel like it diminishes what it was that happened to her. But, again, I guess, whatever, rules, I don't know. I'm just saying. I hate having to tiptoe around these types of things. But it is what it is, I guess. Okay, so I'll go on. Once he was finished, McLaughlin threw Guenther's body into the back seat of his car and took her to the Missouri River to dispose of her remains. He couldn't dump her into the river because the brush was too thick. Instead, he left Guenther's half-naked body in the brush and drove off. The next day, McLaughlin was laughing and joking. A friend described his demeanor as friendly and said that the two had nice conversations. He went shopping to buy bleach and other cleaning supplies, which he said he needed to get rid of a mildew smell in his car. When he got home from shopping, McLaughlin poured the bleach inside his car, and police came looking for him and brought him in for questioning. They found blood on his clothes and in his car. At the station, police showed him evidence they had against him, and McLaughlin eventually confessed and led police to Guenther's body. The state charged McLaughlin with the R charge, first-degree murder, and 2 counts of armed criminal action, and sought the death penalty. A jury convicted him of sexually assaulting her, first-degree murder, and 1 count of armed criminal action. And I wonder, like, is there not a separate charge for, like, doing that after someone's already deceased? Like, isn't that, what's it called, necrophilia? Isn't that what it, like, when you have sex with a dead body? I feel like that should have been a whole separate charge, but I don't know. Y'all let me know down in the comments, because maybe not every state has that. I don't know. Okay, so the case moved to the penalty phase, and in Missouri, when the state seeks a penalty of death after the jury conviction of first-degree murder, a second stage of trial shall proceed, at which the only issue shall be the punishment to be assessed and declared. So all this is a bunch of legal mumbo-jumbo that I will not be reading, but I want to get to this part here. The state argued 4 statutory aggravators. 1. The crime involved depravity of mind based on the repeated and excessive acts of physical abuse McLaughlin inflicted on Guenther. 2. The murder was committed while McLaughlin was engaged in the perpetration of forcible R, sexual assaults. Guenther was killed because she was a potential witness in McLaughlin's burglary prosecution. And 4. Guenther was killed because she was a potential witness in an order of protection investigation. So there you have it, guys. That is why they chose to uphold this death penalty conviction, and thank God they did, because this is a person that deserves to be put to death. I mean, he admitted to the crime, and, you know, I think that if you kill someone, and especially if you do what he did to her, like I said, killing her, after killing her body, he then had sex with it. Disgusting. I mean, it's the worst kind of human. Why? And then tries to use the transgender issue. And I will say that I don't believe this person was transgender. No, I don't. Come for me if you want to, but I just don't believe it. And I think that people like this make a mockery of that situation. And if you are truly serious about advocating for those people, which I don't have a problem with advocating for them. I don't have a problem with them in general. But I'm just saying they make a mockery of that situation. People like this, okay? So I want to read to you guys well, actually, we're going to get into this video first, just to show you guys the types of people who are going and advocating for people like Scott McLaughlin to not be killed, okay? We're going to watch this short little clip, and then we'll move on to the letter that she wrote about her own abuse at the hands of Scott McLaughlin, okay? So here we go.
What the governor's final statement will be.
Amber McLaughlin's life is in the hands of Missouri Governor Mike Parson. McLaughlin is on death row for murdering her ex-girlfriend in 2003.
It was just too giving, too nice. Her heart was real big, and she had faith. Well, she has faith in everybody. Everyone deserves a chance. It was one of those, if I can't have you, you can't, and nobody can have you kind of things.
McLaughlin's attorney says as of Friday.
And just look at this little shit. Look at this pandering piece of shit, okay? Black Lives Matter in the back. No justice, no peace. You know, I could say a million things about this, but I will bite my tongue because it's not about him, but he's a pandering little worm.
All legal proceedings are done.
You are out of court. Those 5 horrible words that no defense attorney wants to hear in a capital case.
Lawrence Comp explains their stay of execution request was denied by the Missouri Supreme Court, and now they can't turn to the U.S. Supreme Court.
We presented the arguments that we presented to the Missouri Supreme Court were based on an expansion of state law. So there wasn't a federal principle underneath it.
McLaughlin would be the first openly transgender woman killed by the state, unless Governor Parson grants clemency.
And the governor has not made a decision yet. He has her clemency application on his desk.
Attorneys have made their case to the governor, saying certain evidence wasn't presented to the jury. And while the jury convicted McLaughlin of the crime, they were deadlocked on a death sentence. That's when a St. Louis County judge set the ruling.
They did not give the death penalty to Amber. And so that being done by a judge, we think is fundamentally unfair.
The governor's decision is still unknown. In the meantime, Missourians for Alternatives to the Death Penalty send love to the victim's family and to
Yeah.
McLaughlin.
Sure
Our
you
hearts
do.
go out to every victim's family.
Uh-huh.
So our compassion and our empathy
Uh-huh.
definitely go out to the
Yeah.
family. We
Mhm.
just understand
Sure.
that
Yeah.
taking another life is not going to solve anything.
Is that right? Okay. So yeah. Well, guys,
The United
if
States
y'all
has
shut
reinstated.
your mouth. Shut your mouth. Okay. So, spoiler alert, guys. They said in that video the governor did not make his decision. Well, as I already kind of spoiled it at the beginning, he did make his decision, and I'm going to read to you guys now his statement, okay? Because it was perfect. It was actually kudos to Governor. Let's see, who is it? Mike Parson, refusing to. Let me make this a little bit bigger because I cannot see that. I mean, it's just very tiny. Okay. Governor Mike Parson refusing to stop the scheduled Tuesday night execution of Scott McLaughlin, hours before McLaughlin was scheduled to die by lethal injection for the 2003 murder of Beverly Guenther. Governor Parsons issued a statement saying McLaughlin stalked, raped, and murdered Miss Guenther. McLaughlin is a violent criminal. That's not all he said. This is his full statement. McLaughlin's conviction and sentence remains after multiple thorough examinations of Missouri law. McLaughlin stalked, and murdered Mrs. Guenther. McLaughlin is a violent criminal, Governor Parsons said. Miss Guenther's family and loved ones deserve peace. The state of Missouri will carry out McLaughlin's sentence according to the court's decision and deliver justice. McLaughlin waited outside Beverly Guenther's workplace, where McLaughlin brutally and violently stabbed her as she walked to her vehicle to go home. McLaughlin terrorized Mrs. Guenther for months prior to the point where Mrs. Guenther had an order of protection against McLaughlin after he broke into her home. McLaughlin's culpability in Miss Guenther's murder has never been in question. Missouri courts have found no issue in the application of Missouri law to McLaughlin, and federal appellate courts have maintained as much. So, snaps, claps, and kudos to you, Governor Parsons. That's a bold and great statement to have made, and I commend you for allowing the justice system to carry out its its final decision. And people were arguing, oh, the jury didn't make the decision because there was some sort of like split decision, or the jury couldn't come to a consensus on the death penalty, so the judge imposed it, which I'm fine with that. The jury found him guilty, and then the judge imposed the death sentence. I have no issues with that whatsoever, especially with the in the presence of a full confession. We'll allow it, guys. Okay, so let's now get into Beverly's letter. Okay, so this was actually a handwritten note that she gave an account of his abuse and his stalking on her, and we're going to read that now. Okay, I'm not sure what that first word is, but he says he came up to me and tried to put his arm around me, and I told him to not touch me and to leave me alone. Let me make this a little bit bigger, y'all, just so I can see what I'm doing here. Okay. And to leave me alone. I asked him what he wanted when I was walking to my truck. He said that he forgot to ask me something. I asked him what it was about the freezer he took out of my home. I was trying to get in my truck at the time, so I got in and he kept talking, and I told him I had to leave. He tried to kiss me. I pulled away, and he told me to quit or to quiet. Then he tried to do it again, and I told him to stop and pushed him. He asked me why I was treating him that way. I told him I was done and didn't want to see him no more, and I had to go. He proceeded to grab my breast and said, I played with your titties, and I yelled, tried to grab my breast and said, I played with your titties. I yelled and told him to quit, and then he walked away and left. Scott does not take no for an answer. He don't know when to quit. Beverly Guenther on 10/12/03. Attached is all the times he has called me at work so far. He does have a Class C felony burglary in second degree charges against me in Lincoln County with the state of Missouri. So this was 8 days before her murder, okay? And this was the letter I guess she wrote as part of evidence. So sad, guys. I mean, it's just like, and things like this happen all too often where, you know, a woman is trying to get away from the person and, you know, is taking the right steps, but, you know, sometimes the justice system is too slow and is not efficient enough. And in those cases, it's even more important that justice is carried out in the way that it is designed to, meaning that this man deserved the death penalty, you know, because the justice system failed her in the beginning when she was trying to get away and they couldn't help her. So I'm sorry, it's a slap in the face to not carry this out, and thank God that they did. And so I just wanted to come and bring light onto her story, because I felt that it was, you know, like I said, her memory was being erased because of people want to carry out this other narrative of his life, and, you know, the fact that he decided to become trans 5 minutes before, you know, he was supposed to be executed because he thought it would bring him a little sympathy points and maybe even a get out of jail free card. So that photo that is in these picture sets that are flashing right now on your screen, this was taken in December of 2021, and this is like how we kind of know the timeline of when he decided to grow out his hair and slap some fingernail polish on his nails. So it says from an article, I'm reading it right now from an article from Redux, the photo updated in December of 2021 is strikingly different from a previous record from just a few years prior, when McLaughlin was seen with a decidedly more masculine appearance. So a few years prior to December 2021, which we could argue maybe 2018, 2019, was when he decided he was going to grow his hair out and call himself Amber, you know, and that just ain't it for me. I'm sorry. And so I actually heard from a different YouTube channel, I think it was Actual Justice Warrior, that the reason why he did this was because another transgender inmate in Missouri had actually been able to use their transgender status to vacate their own sentence. And so when he heard this, he thought, oh, maybe I can do this too, which is the case nowadays. We're seeing this a lot more, you know, in our prison systems, especially with men and them trying to skirt around systems and trying to get into women's prisons, trying to gain sympathy and perpetuate their crimes all over again by, you know, turning themselves into or calling themselves women and trying to then, you know, just use that to their advantage. And it's sick. It truly is sick. And so, you know, rest in peace to Beverly Guenther. This was right after this, they're going to flash another little handwritten note. That was the note that he wrote right before he was executed. And I just thought it was very interesting because it's all about him, of course. You know, it was nothing about, he was sorry for what he did to his victim, Beverly Guenther. It was all about him. And so I'm just waiting for it to flash, and then I'll read it, and then we'll get out of here, guys. I am sorry for what I did. I am a loving and caring person. I. Yeah, you know, why don't you say your victim's name? Why don't you show some true repentance? And why don't you just go to hell? Because that's where you're going to go. And I'm sorry. I'm kind of angry right now. This story just made me mad. So I do apologize, guys, for the aggressive nature of my commentary on this one. But it just made me really upset. You know, I'm upset. But rest in peace to Beverly Guenther. I'm glad she finally got her justice that she was owed. And in this case, you know, we appreciate Governor Parsons, and he made the right decision. So sometimes the justice system can fail, but in this case, it actually ended up correcting its mistakes, and for that, we can be thankful. So y'all let me know in the comments down below, what do y'all think about this case? And, you know, what did you guys know about it? What did y'all hear? You know, any other discussion y'all want to have about this one, let me know in the comments. And like the video if you like it. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, guys. I'll be having more content like this. Of course, we cover true crime, politics, news, culture, all of it. And, you know, until next time, guys, y'all make sure you guys are staying safe and taking care of yourself. And, you know, always keep your head on a swivel for people out there like this, because there's some sickos in the world, okay? But until next time, guys, I will see y'all later. All right, bye.